The cryptocurrency industry is set to thrive in the United States. That was a key takeaway from the only panel discussing cryptocurrencies inside the World Economic Forum. Behind me, Brian Armstrong, the founder of Coinbase, was positive about the potential of a Bitcoin reserve being adopted in the next 18 months.
Good afternoon, Gareth Jenkinson here. I'm the managing editor at Cointelegraph. I think I'll throw this at you, Brian, because there was no mention of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. This is one of the promises that Trump kind of made last year at Bitcoin Nashville. Obviously, we saw the Trump meme coin come out this weekend. In some way, shape, or form, this undermined the work that was being done to put forward a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Do you share that opinion, and do you think that this is still very much on the cards for the US going forward in the next year? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think it undermined anything with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. That effort is still alive and well. Cynthia Lummis in the Senate in the US is really pushing that idea, and I think it would be a good idea for anybody who's not familiar with it. There is a proposal for the US government to start to hold Bitcoin. The U.S. government, like many countries, they hold reserves in a variety of different assets, gold, oil, rare minerals like palladium. And I think they have like maybe 27 different reserves. And so, many governments hold gold. I think they should start to hold Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is essentially the new gold standard. It's, I think, a very core way that you should hold assets and hold value over time. And it's still nascent enough where it has some volatility. It's getting less and less over time, but it still has a lot of upside potential. So I think if the US gets that legislation approved, which I hope they do, the rest of the G20 will follow, and that could be a huge driver of Bitcoin price appreciation.
South Africa's Reserve Bank governor was far more skeptical about the potential of a Bitcoin reserve and questioned whether nation states should even consider adopting Bitcoin as part of a national reserve.
Governor, is South Africa going towards a Bitcoin strategic reserve?
No, I can't quite say. I want to distinguish between the technology that underpins these assets and the assets themselves. As a regulator, we do not regulate technology. We regulate activity. Mm-hmm. So we are technology agnostic. Right. So that's why I had said it's not for governments to decide which assets or which products the consumer should be using. So the technology is very useful. To give you the idea, we piloted a blockchain technology in our payment space with finality in central bank money, and we were able to settle transactions that we settle in a whole day. In 46 minutes, we were able to do that. So the technologies could be useful, and we would look at that, and I don't think that is a problem. I would have a significant problem with a lobby that says governments should hold this asset or hold that asset without what the strategic intent of government is. Because you see, there is a history to gold. There was once a gold standard. Currencies were pegged to gold. But if we now say that, okay, Bitcoins, okay, what about platinum? What about coal? Why don't we hold strategic beef reserves or mutton reserves or apple reserves? Why Bitcoin? So it's a public policy issue that we have got to be engaged in. And I would caution against the move then that would say there is an industry with a particular interest in a particular product, and we would like to impose it on society and say society must hold this as a reserve. I would have a fundamental problem with it.
So why Bitcoin reserve and not beef reserves and mutton reserves? Anyone wants to comment on that?
Well, I think that if you like Neil Ferguson is here, he has a great book on the ascent of money, and he's a historian, and so many things have been used as money over the years. I think it's pretty, this is still maybe a new idea, but I think it's clear at this point that Bitcoin is a better form of money than gold. It is provably scarce, just like gold, but it's more portable and divisible, so you can actually use it. Has higher utility, I would say. And it was the best performing asset of the last 10 years. And so for store of value, I think it's going to be important for governments to hold this over time. It might start with being 1% of their reserves, but I think over time it'll come to be equal to or greater than gold reserves.